The Las Vegas Raiders aren't just building a roster, they're building weapons. And one of the most intriguing pieces in that arsenal? Tommy Mellott. Forget labels like quarterback or gadget guy. This is a pure football player. Mellott can move, he's explosive. He's already drawing early attention for his ability to line up in multiple spots, and Raiders coaches have taken notice. Whether it's special teams, trick packages, or short yardage packages, Mellott brings unpredictability to an offense that desperately needs it. Now, let's shift to Mello Dodson, a name flying under the radar, but not for long. The undrafted corner out of Kansas has a nose for the football and an edge to his game that fits the Raiders' mentality. He holds the KU record for pick sixes, and with the slot corner role still up for grabs, Dodson could find himself in the mix a lot sooner than expected. And while fans continue to toss around names like Amari Cooper, let's be real. There's no legitimate movement there. The Raiders' focus right now isn't on reunions, it's on building a new identity. Faster, tougher, more versatile. This team isn't looking back. It's loading up for war. Let's talk about the name that keeps bouncing around, Amari Cooper. Is there anything real to the rumor? Honestly, probably not. Some fans saw a guy at Max Crosby's draft party and assumed it was Amari Cooper. But the truth? That was Amari Gaynor, not Cooper. That small mix-up sparked a wildfire of speculation. I even reached out to the original source of the rumor to ask where he heard it, but no response. Let's be honest, the Raiders have no reason to bring Amari Cooper back. He already had his chance here, and he quit on this team. Since then, the Raiders have rebuilt the receiver room. They drafted 3 wide receivers, signed Colin Johnson, and brought in Kyle Phillips, a guy the staff seems to trust. This team doesn't just want talent. They want receivers who block, put the team first, and show up when it matters. Amari didn't do that the first time. So why roll the dice again? Let me put it this way. If someone walked out on you in 2018, would you really welcome them back in 2025? Me? I'm moving on. And now, let's switch gears to defense. A fan asked, can the Raiders go after someone like Asante Samuel Jr. or Justin Simmons? Solid question. Between the two, Justin Simmons makes more sense. The Raiders need help at free safety, and Simmons has the experience and playmaking ability that fits the bill. As for Asante Samuel Jr., fans hear the name and think of his legendary dad. But his game is different. He's an outside corner, not a slot guy like his father, and the Raiders already have a solid group of long, athletic outside corners. If they want to strengthen the slot corner position, names like Mike Hilton and Troy Hill come to mind. Both are seasoned vets who could slide into that role if needed. Lastly, someone asked, which draft pick, besides Gentry, could have a breakout year? That's a fun one, and we'll dive into that in the next segment. Let's set the record straight. When people talk about a breakout year, they usually mean a player who's already had some time in the league and then suddenly takes a big leap. So, technically, rookies can't really have a breakout year because they haven't done anything yet. That said, one rookie who might shock people this season is Jack Beck, the Raiders' second-round pick. He's a tough, physical wide receiver, and while he might not put up huge numbers right away, I could easily see him pulling in 40 to 45 catches. What makes him dangerous isn't just stats, it's his attitude. Jack, along with Brock Bowers and JPJ, brings a mentality that says, we're not just here to win, we're here to hit you in the mouth while we do it. Now let's address a hot topic. Trey Tucker trade rumors. People keep asking, why are we talking about trading Trey? Here's the deal. I'm not saying the Raiders will trade him, but when you look at the moves this front office has made, it raises questions. They drafted Jack Beck, brought in speedster Dante Thornton Jr., added Tommy Mellott, who can play multiple roles including special teams, and signed guys like Colin Johnson and Kyle Phillips, who already have ties to this coaching staff. So, no, I haven't heard anything official. But I look at patterns. And the pattern says The new regime might be preparing for a shift at wide receiver. Remember, this isn't the group that drafted Trey Tucker, and sometimes that matters. Now I'm flipping the question to you. If it were up to you, T for trade, K for keep, what would you do with Trey Tucker? And speaking of receivers, another fan asked, when will the Raiders get a true number one wideout? And hey, that frustration is valid. But here's the thing, the Raiders may not have an alpha wide receiver one right now, but they do have weapons. They've got a top-tier running back, an elite tight end in Brock Bowers, and a few receivers who may not be flashy but fit this offense perfectly. Players like Jacoby Myers and Jack Beck might not make highlight reels every week, but they do the dirty work, blocking, route running, effort plays, and that's what this offense is shaping up to be. A gritty, run-first, punch-you-in-the-mouth unit that wears down defenses and grinds out wins. So, do you really need a diva wideout if your offense is built to bully people? If you're building a contender, you build from the spine of the roster. And that's exactly what the Raiders might be doing. Think about it. In just a year or two, Las Vegas could be looking at the best center in the NFL in Jackson Powers Johnson, the most dangerous tight end in Brock Bowers, and quite possibly the most explosive young running back in Ashton Jeanty. That trio. That's the heart of an offense that's not just designed to move the chains, it's built to punish defenses. And while fans understandably crave a flashy number, one wide receiver, the Raiders might be going in a different direction. A smarter one. Wideouts demand top-tier contracts. Meanwhile, elite production from the middle of the field costs less and sets a tougher tone. This roster may not look like others, but it might just out-physical them all. Now, defensively, let's talk corners. Some fans keep mentioning names like Asante Samuel Jr., hoping for a move to slot or even a shift to safety. But here's the truth. Asante has always played on the outside, and there's no real indication he wants to change that. He's not a bad player, but he's not a slot corner, and he's never been a safety. Instead, the Raiders might be better off adding a veteran presence, someone like Mike Hilton, who has real slot experience and could help guide this young, athletic secondary. That kind of leadership is priceless in a cornerback room full of potential but short on years played. And speaking of the youth movement, there's real confidence inside the building in guys like Jacorian Bennett, Eric Stokes, and Darian Porter. You don't always need stars. You need players who buy in, stay disciplined, and fit the system. And if Las Vegas wants to compete deep into the season, especially in January football, that defensive chemistry will be just as important as any big name. Lastly, let's shut down the noise. When it comes to players like Amari Cooper or even Henry Ruggs, debates spark up about second chances and talent redemption. But here's the reality. The Raiders don't need either of them. This is a new chapter, with a new standard, and those pages don't include anyone who quit on the team, or brought off-the-field baggage the locker room doesn't need. Let's be honest, this isn't the same old Raiders team. Something's shifting in Vegas. With the 2025 draft behind us and rookie camps about to kick off, fans are starting to ask a powerful question. Are we a playoff team now? The answer, yes, if a few key pieces fall into place. There's no question the talent on this roster has taken a major leap forward. The Raiders have a backfield that could pound any defense into submission, a rising star at tight end, and a quarterback in Geno Smith who's proven he can lead a team, even when everything around him breaks down. But, to be real, there are still holes. Free safety, linebacker, nickel corner. Fix those 3 spots, and this team won't just flirt with the playoffs, it could push through and punch someone in the mouth in January. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Henry Ruggs. Some names don't belong back in silver and black, not because of talent, but because of choices that left scars. Ruggs made a devastating decision. And while forgiveness is up to the people who were directly impacted, that doesn't mean the Raiders should ever consider bringing him back. This franchise is trying to move forward, with discipline, with toughness, and with accountability. That's how you build a team worth rooting for. That's how you build a locker room that actually trusts each other. So where does that leave us now? With a retooled roster, a fresh mindset, and a chip on our shoulder big enough to carry into every stadium we walk into. 9 wins? That's realistic. But if this team finds its rhythm and stays healthy, they could go even further. Because for the first time in a long time, the Raiders aren't just talking about toughness. They're built for it. If you're building a defense in Las Vegas, you better be building one with an edge. No distractions, no drama. Just cold, calculated aggression. That's why names like Josh Joyner stand out. The Raiders don't need stars. They need football-first dogs. Joyner's the kind of player who didn't hear his name on draft weekend, but don't be fooled. This guy plays with the hunger of someone who knows how close he came to being overlooked. That kind of fuel? That's what gets you on the 53-man roster. Same goes for guys like Mello Dodson and Greedy Vance. The Raiders are crafting a secondary with grit over glamour, and that's not a coincidence. You look at who this front office is bringing in. Hard-nosed, twitchy athletes who aren't afraid to hit, run, or both. And don't sleep on Conroy, the fullback-tight end hybrid with absurd athletic numbers. This Raiders regime loves versatile freaks who can line up anywhere and punish defenders. If you've got the engine, they'll find a role for you. But if there's one name fans need to know, it's Jack Beck. He's not just a player, he's a mentality. The kind you can't coach, can't manufacture, and definitely can't fake. You see it in his eyes, in the way he talks, in the way he carries something heavy when he steps on the field. Every team needs that guy who plays like the game owes him something. Jack Beck plays like he's cashing in that debt every snap. And that's why Raider Nation should be watching him like a hawk this summer. Now let's talk cornerbacks. Big-name fans are throwing out Jalen Ramsey. Is he still a top-tier talent? Absolutely. Can he still lock up WR1s? Without a doubt. But here's the truth. The Raiders don't need him. They've invested in young corners. They've drafted. They've developed. And they're not looking for a name. They're looking for fit. Ramsey is elite, sure. But if you're building a culture, you don't bring in outside noise unless it makes you undeniably better across the board. That said, if Ramsey ever landed in Vegas, you better believe he'd immediately be the best corner on the roster. But that's not the question the Raiders are asking. They're not chasing stars, they're building soldiers. If Raider Nation wants one thing right now, it's clarity. Clarity at safety. Clarity at wide receiver. Clarity at head coach. Let's start where it matters most: coverage and leadership on defense. There's been talk about whether a veteran corner like Jalen Ramsey could transition to free safety like legends before him. Woodson, Peterson. Could it work? Maybe. But the bigger issue isn't about name value. It's about whether the Raiders have that center field general, the guy who can read, react, and erase mistakes. That's still a glaring question mark. Same goes for linebacker. Physicality is one thing, but field awareness, that's what separates average from elite. And right now, this defense needs a quarterback in the middle just as badly as it does behind center. On offense, fans keep asking, do the Raiders even have a top 30 wide receiver? Let's be honest. Maybe not in the eyes of national rankings. But here's the twist. Vegas doesn't need one. What they do have are wide receivers built for this system, guys who block, create space, and don't drop the damn football. Jacoby Myers is one of the most reliable hands in the league. Jack Beck plays with a chip on his shoulder, and the trio of speedsters, Trey Tucker, Tommy Mellott, and Dante Thornton Jr., bring fire over the top. This offense isn't trying to win with a highlight reel. It's trying to win with balance, toughness, and precision. If you're looking for a flashier WR room, this ain't it. But if you're looking for a unit that fits together like puzzle pieces in a power-run offense, this is what it looks like. Now, let's talk coaching. The Antonio Pierce era had heart, but heart alone doesn't win in December. He was thrown into a brutal quarterback situation, no doubt. Injuries, inexperience, a broken offense. But the truth is, he played a weak hand without playing it smart. Every Sunday, the Raiders walked into battle with a head coach who was outmatched, and it showed. And that's why the move to Pete Carroll speaks volumes. You don't bring in a legend unless you're ready to turn the page completely. Carroll's voice carries weight, and this locker room? It's ready for direction. If Antonio Pierce gets another shot someday, it won't surprise anyone. He has leadership in him. But right now, the Raiders are done surviving. They're ready to start winning.